y'all, welcome back. This is the last episode of RebelWatch for the season. I'm your host, Erika Dierke.
I'm Stuart.
I'm Mariah Evans.
And I'm Paxton DeBardeleben.
Also, apologies for some technical difficulties that are causing this to be released in the middle of the week, a little bit late. That's really fine. That just means we have more to talk about. So we're going to start with baseball. Things have kind of turned around a little bit, and we're gonna talk about it. First, I want to talk about Georgia. We talked about it last week. It obviously didn't air, but that was a disappointing series to drop. What are you guys thinking about that?
Yeah, I think Mother Nature kind of had, other ideas for how that series is going to pan out. Obviously, the weather on Friday kind of forced it into a doubleheader on that Saturday, and we win the first game, and then what was it, 14 extra innings?
Yes,
on
14
Saturday.
innings on Saturday.
And
I was at the ballpark for 11 hours.
Yeah,
I think in total.
That's ridiculous. But credit to the team, for the Rebs, for being able to stick it out and go really wire to wire with Georgia, despite being just utterly exhausted, facing one of, if not the best hitting team in the country, not even certainly in the SEC, very much so in contention for that spot nationally. And then obviously just a disappointing finish on Sunday, just weren't able to finish it out. But I will say the thing I liked about this is obviously we lost, and any loss is a loss. There's nothing good about it. But we did show a lot of heart and a lot of passion, and we never just kind of capitulated and threw in the towel. We continued to fight and scrap and claw and stick around in those games.
Personally, I agree with you. I don't think we should be able to play 11 hours of baseball in a row. I think that's it's like part of a corrupt system. I don't think that's fair for the players to have to play that much. Like, you're going to be fatigued and you're not going to get the best out of yourself. But we beat Georgia in basketball off a buzzer beater. We owned them in the Sugar Bowl, and this was our chance to completely own their school. And we hindered. I don't really understand. I don't know how many games we can go in a row with striking out with two people on base and just being so home run defined. It's not a consistent way to keep winning baseball games. It just plagued us for this entire year, I feel like.
The highs and lows of the 2026 Ole Miss baseball season.
Russ.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah.
He said they reverted back to their old ways, in which I have to agree, in which they relied too much on the home runs. And he said 18 runs against the Bulldogs, 16 came via the long ball. And you can't just keep relying on stuff like that. And that's what I'm saying. It's a little too inconsistent for me.
We've said it basically every week at this point. The offense is inconsistent, too home run defined, and not putting the ball in play. It's never going to be good. It's never going to be a good thing. So Arkansas, I think here's my little summary of the weekend. Game 1 is the epitome of our floor. We lost 12-2. If our offense doesn't show up, our pitching can fall apart, and that's like the worst. Yeah. Game 2 is the epitome of our ceiling, because we showed up, we hit the home runs, we had a grand slam from Reuter, but also there was runs that we got from stringing hits together, and Kate Townsend is lights out. And then game 3, that's our Achilles heel. That's us not closing out those close games. So it was definitely a telling weekend. What are you guys taking from it?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say this is really the first time this season where I've been legitimately disappointed in our pitching. Hunter Elliott, we got one ruled. In game 1 of a very important SEC series against a school that we consider a rival. Arkansas, that is a very big baseball brand. Dave Van Horn, one of the best coaches in college baseball, certainly this century. And that was just so out of character for him.
I think Hunter Elliott has to be moved to Sunday.
I agree.
think Aaron Townsend should be Friday and Rabe should be Saturday. And Aaron Elliott should be Sunday. I will say, you're right, it's out of character. That's the first time in his career he's let up 3 home runs in a game. So he's definitely doesn't have it this year like he has in the past.
And he's been good this season. That's the thing. It's just kind of recent. I mean, he hasn't been as dominant, 2022 World Series caliber, just on the mound, this past season, just, taking over games. But I think you're right. I think they do need to kind of move him around. And Kate Townsend's been balling. I've talked about Taylor Rabe extensively on this show. He's been phenomenal as well. I hate to say it, but yeah, I think you're right. We do have to move him to Sunday. But I mean, that was really the first time that I walked away from a game disappointed with Ole Miss pitching this season, because it has been so good.
This baseball team, it's kind of cliche to say this, it reminds me of the New Orleans Saints the past 5 years since Drew Brees retired. They have playmakers on offense. They have people to do it, but they keep going 3 and out and putting pressure on their defense so many times. And at some point, you're going to break. You can't put so much pressure on your defense, and then people are just going to keep hitting and hitting and hitting, and you score no points. It's not a recipe for success. Yeah. And I know Walker Hooks has gotten so much appreciation over the past week, but you cannot throw a meatball in the bottom of the 9th inning in the 3rd game to win the series. Sit your in the bullpen and send that NIL check back.
Absolutely not. Walker Hooks is
no, he's not. You can't throw a horrible pitch
Here's the thing.
right down the
Let it
middle
go. Let it
and lose
go.
the series. Okay, go ahead.
Baseball is not a game of perfection. These things are
No
gonna happen.
sport is perfection.
These things are gonna happen, right? He pitched the day prior. I don't know. You don't know as much about baseball as me. Maybe you don't know this.
I know
You
ball.
know ball.
You do not. You cannot expect a pitcher to go out the following day and produce. You can't.
Yeah,
Put all
If
that
he's
on
getting
him.
paid that much
And-
money, I
and
expect that.
He pitched the 7th and the 8th inning. Closers aren't supposed to go 1/3 of
Okay,
the
well,
game.
that's a pitching problem putting him out there that early.
Yeah, I agree. But then it's not. Then we're going to talk about Bianco and we're going to talk about decision making and coaching. We're not going to talk about
don't
Walker
think
Hooks.
agreed.
He threw 1.2 scoreless the day before. He has been absolutely balling. This is only a 3rd time this year that he's allowed more than 1 run in an outing, and it was the 3rd inning of him pitching. We just can't put the game on him like that. If we want to win, like it's like when you blame a football game that you lose on the kicker. Like it shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have
Blake
been
Groupie.
that close of a situation.
I agree with Erica.
I think
agree.
Walker
I
Hooks
agree.
is the MVP of the bullpen.
You can't let one bad decision, one mistake, define whether or not a player
That's
is
true.
good. We've got
That's
legitimately one of the best closing pitchers in the SEC, potentially at the national level. You're a Saints fan. How many times did Drew Brees throw interceptions? How many times?
A
did
lot.
make
He
it?
did.
And how
but
many
he made
times
up
did-
for it with touchdowns.
Okay.
Walker Hooks is not
Walker
picking up
Hooks
for the
is-
win.
Walker Hooks has been able to make
No,
up for
he's-
it in crunch time. This was the this was the
I
first
am.
time
What I'm
that
trying to say is like these games are getting so much more crucial down the stretch when you have the ability to host a regional at your own place, and you can't be throwing meatballs down the middle with a team that has explosive hitting. That's what I'm trying to say.
Sometimes a pitch doesn't go where you want it to go and a home run is hit, and that happens. The game shouldn't have been as close as it was if we want to be win. Like, if we're going to talk about how important these games are down the stretch, then let's keep talking about offense, because pitching is just not our problem. It just isn't. We have dominant pitching. His ERA the day prior was 2.11. That's really, really good. And he had just pitched 1.2 scoreless, and he had pitched 2 scoreless innings before that. I mean, asking a closer to pitch 4 scoreless innings in 2 days, 4.2 it would have been. That's a lot.
I
That's
agree.
incredible.
I agree with what you said, but we just have to use him properly.
I agree. So we can talk about Bianco and how he's utilizing the bullpen. It's a symptom of college baseball. Like, the guys are expected to go a little longer than they are in the MLB. But I think if we want Walker Hooks to be our closer, he shouldn't be coming in the 7th.
I agree with that.
I think what you said about controlling where the ball goes, that's really important. This is probably the dumbest anecdote possible, but I mean, Randy Johnson is the greatest pitcher of all time. He
unit.
He disintegrated a bird. That is one of the most absurd sports clips of all time.
Well, it looks fake.
It might have been
But
number one.
I mean, Randy Johnson throws straight heat and just literally disintegrated a pigeon. Like that ball leaves your hand. You can't control you can control to an extent where it goes, but you can't control what happens in front of you, i.e. a rogue pigeon deciding that he didn't want to be on this planet anymore.
That's like saying I'm shooting a 3 and don't know where it goes.
One faulty pitch does not a bad pitch.
Correct.
It's just it's gonna happen sometimes.
You clean that up. Thank you. That's the point I was trying to make. Thank you.
So yeah, I think this Arkansas and this Georgia series are disheartening, but not as devastating as the state series. I think we're still a competitive team. I do not think we host a regional. We're playing 2 ranked opponents. We have to take 4 of 6. I don't think it's happening. We're not winning both those series. I would love to be wrong. If we take a sweep, we have a great chance. But Texas A&M and Alabama are great competitors.
I think it's wraps for us this year. I'm not gonna lie.
We'll be in a regional, and I think that we are a competitive team. I think I disagreed with your hot take that you said we're looking more like playoff busts. I think we are valid contenders. I just think we need to be cleaning up some of these things. And as you've pointed out, clock stick it. Like, it's about that time.
Put 5 on it.
Shout out to Judd Udemark for being tied with Kyle Gordon for the most home
Congratulations.
runs in Ole Mystery with 48. Anything else about baseball?
Another Joe Dumark, another W brought to you courtesy of the Queen City and the Tar Heel State.
Doesn't matter when your pitcher throws meatballs down the middle for game.
And that cold take is brought to you by Paxton. We will see you right after the break.
It's that time of the year again, fellas. When the mornings are hot, the afternoons are hotter, and football is on its way back. Now, games is won by the battles fought in August. Everyone that's not revered as an Ole Miss legend has been in your shoes before, trying to survive that Mississippi heat, competing for a spot, and knowing the sacrifice that it takes to make it in this league. You go into this money collection of men from 100 different places. And if you work, you emerge from it as one team with one goal and one heartbeat. The SEC awaits you. And if they don't know who you are now, they will soon.
The dynamic freshman is starting to make his impact. Dagger with the shot clock down to 1.
That 3-ball drops for Jamin Brakefield.
Fagan from the corner with a triple.
Burrell for 3, and that's a big response.
3-ball, yes. Miss shooting lights out at the pavilion. And give him one more. Wow. Oh, you can't teach that. Well, that should give Ole Miss a boost.
Ole Miss, 18th NCAA tournament appearance.
This is fun, folks, as Baker's peeling it. Little heat check. Snug Collins for 3. Bring it up.
Said, I love Madison Scott.
Ole Miss Rebels are having a lot of fun, and you can see why.
All right, now we are going to be talking about the NFL draft. We did not have as historic of an NFL draft as we did last year. I mean, we didn't have as many, great guys on the table, of course, but it was a historic draft for the SEC. I believe it was the most players of all time taken from our conference. So shout out to the SEC, but the Rebels were not as much of a piece of that as maybe we even would have thought. So I know that Stribling was taken, and you talked a lot about him last week. So what do you think of that?
First of all, it doesn't mean that, I'm going to say, just because we didn't have a lot of people drafted does not mean it was a failure of a season for us. Like, a bunch of these college teams say, oh, we had the most people drafted, we're the best program, and whatever, the SEC. That's complete BS. That's a retention standpoint from our coaching staff, and I'm happy that we have a bunch of people back returning for Ole Miss this year. But I don't think anyone really expected John Stribling to go 33rd. I mean, that's a big deal being the first pick of the second round. You have a day to wait until the draft starts. Teams are going to call and trade. And I really think he's one of the most physically built receivers in this draft. I mean, he caught that slanter against Florida and took it to the house. He caught a bunch of jump balls against Mississippi State. He made the game-winning play against Georgia to send us to the Final Four. He's super physically gifted. He can run really, really fast. And I think he should have gone higher. I rank him above Mekhi Lemon going to the Eagles. I don't think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. I just said that to Rage Babe Mariah. But
Who is your quarterback?
Tyler Shuck.
Okay.
Jordan Tyson. That's irrelevant to this conversation, by the way.
But you brought my quarterback up.
Yeah, he's
And
incredibly
I
mid.
to the day.
Ole Miss.
Okay,
Sorry.
we can go to Ole Miss. But I do think Stribling is set up for success in the Niners offense with Kyle Shanahan as his coach. He has Mike Evans, Ricky Pearsall, and then I don't even know. Brandon Ayuk went on a hiatus, so I think he has injuries can make him start probably week 5. Yeah. He's going to be in contention for offensive rookie of the year this year.
Jaden Williams, offensive tackle, was taken in the 7th round.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I'm a big fan of Jaden Williams. You had the pleasure to interview him back in the fall. Genuinely one of the nicest people I've ever met. He was just a delight to talk to. Cardinals are getting a franchise, potentially franchise level like rotational lineman, I think.
I would say he's a leader also.
Yeah,
he was really
very much
wise
so.
when we talked to him.
Yes.
Like, if I want to be a better football player, I had to be a better man because, like, they correlate on and off the field. If I want to be a better dad, like, it all correlates somehow because, like, I say, like, with a dad, like, being a dad with the offense, being a dad first, like, sometimes when I'm sitting there with them younger dudes in the offensive line room, I feel like I feel like I'm being a dad sometimes, and I'm just being like, what are you doing? And it just reminds me of talking to my daughter, even though my daughter's young, it's like, sometimes I just look at it, be like, what are you doing? And it's just like, just being them things. So I think they all correlate, and it all starts with consistency at the end of the day.
In that interview, he spoke a lot about, you know, the mentorship and the relationships he was building with the transfers and the incoming freshmen. So I think that's a guy that could really, even if he's not necessarily starting every single snap at tackle or guard, that's a guy that's going to be, you know, institution staple for the Cardinals in the locker room and on the sidelines, and just a class act all around. Very, very happy for him.
And we talked about this last week. It didn't air, but there's kind of a pipeline going on of Rebels to Cardinals.
Yeah.
Walter Nolan, and then
White
picked,
Williams.
Trey Wallace too.
Yep.
The Cardinals. So they have, there's. If you don't have a team to religiously tune into, maybe a bandwagon.
And
Cardinals
yeah, my mom is going to figure out quickly that there's a ton of Ole Miss players that are on the Arizona Cardinals, and we're not going to write down the schedule and how many players there are on each team on our refrigerator. It's straight Saints this year, Mom. Who dat? Let's go.
Shout out to Daquan Wright going to the Eagles.
Just the fact that Ole Miss returned a lot of their players this year.
And I think
that's
to kind of jump off that, I think that's the mark of a truly great program, where you're not having a bunch of guys, you know, whether it be like entering the draft early or going to the, like hitting the portal, like especially with a coaching turnover like Ole Miss had with the volatility of Kiffin's departure. That speaks a volume about Pete Golding and this staff, that they were able to keep so many of those high
from entering the draft too.
That from either transferring or the draft, 100%, because you know the whole thing was, oh, Trinidad goes to the draft, he makes a bunch of money and succeeds in the NFL. He's gonna make more money here. He's gonna develop more, and I think he's gonna be more successful here at Ole Miss. So credit to Golding and the staff for being able to recognize that and saying, okay, these are the guys that, have a chance in the NFL. Like, I want you to go and pursue that. But the guys that, feel like they have unfinished business, that's kind of the whole mantra around the football team right now, is unfinished business. Stand by to get some, as they say at the football games. I think that's a mark of a truly great program. So hats off to Golding and company for the job that they've been doing so far.
You were saying behind the scenes that you thought that Trinidad Chambliss should have opted to.
Well, draft night, we were all tuned in, and the Rams selected Ty Simpson 13th overall, and then Carson Beck got drafted in the second or third round. So Trinidad had the season to where he could potentially rise into the first round, in my opinion. But I don't know what that looks like for him. I know he got paid $5 million to come back to Ole Miss and be our quarterback, which I'm truly ecstatic about. But I do think in the long run, he could have had an opportunity this year to go into the draft.
I think hindsight 2020 maybe, but what were you going to say?
I don't think he should have, because now if he builds off, and he has an even more amazing season that he had than this past season, he gets the chance to go into the NFL being a starting quarterback rather than just a regular backup.
Development.
Yeah, but we had
If he had the hindsight we have now, maybe, but I just think there was no way of knowing Tyson.
We have to. You also have to play the factor that he was in the Lane Kiffin, Charlie Weiss Jr. offense throughout this season, and there's a new coaching staff, new offensive coordinator. Joe Judge stayed the same, but we need to look at his peak. His peak was the Sugar Bowl. Do you think he can get better than the Sugar Bowl?
I think he can maintain it, because here's the thing. Who we hired at offensive coordinator is a guy by the name of John David Baker, who was the offensive coordinator at East Carolina and was calling plays during the 2023 season when we won the Peach Bowl over Penn State. So this is a very similar offensive scheme to what we were running last year. It's not exactly the same. There are things that are different, but by and large, Trinidad is not being forced to learn a new playbook within the span of a couple of months. I think that, honestly, I was not a big fan of Charlie Weiss Jr. I thought that he ran too many motions, too many screens.
You did say that.
We can talk about more of that when he put Austin Simmons at the goal line.
Correct.
When we could have scored an easy 7 points by giving it to Keywan up the middle.
And instead of trying to keep it himself and fumble.
Being
No,
cute,
I think that
having
there
a
was a
backup for
ton
that.
of missed opportunity and just too many gadgets, too much pageantry, and not enough just smash mouth football. And with the running back room that we had and the offensive line that we had potential to be much more physical than we were, and not as. And that's just kind of that's kind of a catalyst and a dichotomy of the entire Lane Kiffin philosophy. Is just kind of fancy, like flashy, high octane, running gun style offense. And I think that we're going to see some of that still with John David Baker, but I think it's going to be on a more refined, maybe pro style scale. So I think we'll be in great. I think Trinidad will be even better than he was this past season, this coming season.
Shout out to Charlie Weiss Jr. He got baptized at my church this week. And
I should do like him.
I'm hoping that there's less going for it on fourth down. I don't care if that's an old take. I'm so sick of that. I hate it so much. So I'm hoping to see less of that this year.
Yes.
And as much as I love talking about football, we'll have to wait till next year, because that's the time for this block. We'll be back in a second to talk about our favorite memories for RebelWatch this year. We'll see you in a minute.
My passion is journalism. Here at the University of Mississippi, we produce a nightly half-hour newscast, broadcasting regionally on cable and globally on the World Wide Web. is the kind of experience that is preparing me to walk into any news station in the country with the skills and abilities I need to succeed. So it's not just preparing me for the real world, it is the real world.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hand?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
We are rebels. For more than 160 years, we've been accomplishing the impossible, from conducting the world's first lung transplant to helping prove Einstein was right. From preserving the past to saving the future. We are Mississippi's flagship university, a place where passion and learning unite, where friends become family, where small-town charm meets world-class innovation. We are the University of Mississippi. We are Ole Miss.
All right, it is the last episode of the year, and I think everyone's getting a little bit sentimental. So, I mean, this block is for our parents, but I really wanted to look back at some of the best moments from the year, from RebelWatch this year. What are your favorite moments?
I mean, I don't want to I am going to kind of toot my own horn a little bit, but, you know, I want to say maybe like the second or third episode of this show.
Second.
Yeah, this is Trinidad Chambliss is the future of Ole Miss football. I sat right here and said that, and it rings true even more so than it did back in September. He's the future of Ole Miss football. I'm going to come out and say it right now. Let's get things started off with a bang. I think Austin Simmons lost his job, and I think that Trinidad Chambliss put on an absolute performance. I somehow correctly guessed the final score for the Oklahoma game, 34-26. I think that we have to go after John Mateer. I think we will, and I think that we win the game because of that.
Score prediction.
This is tough. I put a lot of thought into this. I'm going 34-26 on this.
Dude, that was crazy. I remember like texting you during the Oklahoma game, like when that was the score, and it looked like it was going to end that way. Like, I can't believe there was safety in that game. I cannot believe you guys spelled that correctly.
You bet a lot of money if you bet that.
Yeah.
You've been called the ball knowledge prophet before, and I mean those are two takes.
That's insane glaze.
Really well. All right, what are some of your favorite?
Mine? Well, personally, I loved rage baiting the entire Louisiana State University's fan base and infrastructure and everything involved in the state, their governor, on social media. Shout out to the guy that got arrested. You look like a total idiot. You're a microcosm of Baton Rouge and LSU. You look like one of the 40-year-old drunk men that go to an LSU game that try to talk a lot of mess to college students all the time.
That's what he did.
Any LSU L is beneficial for RebelWatch. We hate y'all.
And, you know, you are in the Ole Miss student section.
Yeah, mind you, you are in the student section of Ole Miss.
You are a 50-year-old man in the student section.
Why are you in the student? Buy some tickets. Do you not have money? What are you doing? You are 50 years old.
Hang on. No,
you're starting beef with college kids. You're gonna get arrested.
On me, you bet your bottom I'm finna throw down.
You need to be prepared for that to happen and let it roll off the other cheek.
Mind you, he punching the other cheek. He punched. And I love when Mariah was guessing the wrong things at Family Feud, and it was actually pissing me off a lot. So I thoroughly enjoyed being on the show this year.
No, I take that back, Steve. Georgia. Let's go Georgia, Steve. I don't know.
Georgia regular season?
Yes.
All right, Georgia regular season. Survey says that is not on the board. You guys have one.
But it was a good game.
Why would you pick the one we lost?
I think
I'm gonna go Miami this time, Steve.
All right, Fiesta Bowl. Survey says.
What the heck?
Mariah,
watch that game.
You're selling. Why are you picking all the losses?
You guys only have one more strike to work with. There are 4 more answers on the board. Paxton.
Florida at home. It's not that complicated.
Okay, Mariah. Lock in. I don't even know if there are any more losses for you to choose, so
Okay.
you should be good. What is your pick?
Arkansas.
Survey says, ding, ding, ding. Arkansas ended up being on the board, but you looked like she had just said the stupidest thing of all time in that moment.
I think some of our greatest memories came with football season when Henry and I debated on Mississippi State, and I'm sorry, Henry, I had to bring it up.
But if Ole Miss was to lose to Florida this weekend, or just had a close game, I'd honestly take State next week. I really would, because I
do have like a close win. I think Mississippi State is gonna win because that's just a game that we've all grown up in Mississippi, and you rooted for somebody. What?
Final thoughts, Henry? What?
Have you actually sat down and watched Mississippi State play football this year?
But-
I have. No.
I grew up here. I know how intense that rivalry is. Mississippi State and Ole Miss is an intense
I'm not going
rivalry.
to debate the validity of whether or not it's a heated rivalry game, but this Mississippi State team are disaster class. Like, they're
Any given Saturday, anybody can win.
and they
in a
almost did
rivalry.
against Texas, and that blew that game.
I do agree. Any given Saturday, like you saw happen.
Any given Saturday, have they been able to close out a major game this year? No, they haven't. They collapsed against Florida. They collapsed against Texas. They got dog walked by Georgia. SEC Nation comes to Starkville. Mississippi State is an overhyped football team. They're not good, and I'm sick and tired of people, especially y'all as Ole Miss students, saying that they're going to come and they're going to win this game. They're not. They don't know how to weigh baby out, and they will choke games in the most dramatic of fashions. I didn't even mention Tennessee.
Yeah, anything to say?
Yeah, I just I'm embarrassed by that. I mean, like, obviously I think I was ultimately right in what I said, but like, it's just the way that I said it. I'm very regretful. Not a day that goes by that I don't think about that and feel a wave of shame wash over me.
It's the reason that Red Cup Hail State sent us an
It
L. It's
blew
the
up.
reason we have 1,400 followers on Instagram, and I think you said it's the reason one of the reasons Paxton decided to audition. That's the nature of the industry. You have passion, and that's why you're here.
Licking my chops when Max said that. That was funny.
If I'm John Mateer, I am licking my chops after seeing that secondary. If I'm John Mateer, every night before I go to bed, I'm going on whatever film my coach sent me, and I'm tucking in with a good book and AirPods, and I'm looking at that film, smiling while I go to bed. Chops are being licked.
John Mateer's gonna put on that Superman cape, I believe, and stop talking about chops. Are gonna be licked.
Licking his chops, man.
Shout out to Max Ortiz. He's changing majors, but it was fun having him on the show. Obviously, we're very glad to have you here, though, Paxton.
Gracias.
De nada. Someone had a Spanish test today. My favorite, I really like, football season was fun. Can't wait for it next year.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked the Halloween episode we did. You got to run that back.
Oh, God.
Happy Halloween. I am your host, Erika Dierke.
I'm Max Tertus.
And I'm Mariah Evans.
And I'm Henry Stuart.
Today, as you can see, we are dressed up. I'm Tinkerbell. What about you?
I'm Lane Kiffin, El Presidente.
I am Colt Brennan, former Hawaii quarterback.
And I'm everybody's favorite super person, Superman.
And you said we don't have time for it. I think we do. Joe DeCamillis, that's when you don't expect it, the jab and the jab again. And the right hook. That's the special teams unit.
Rocky.
I'm extremely excited.
Because as much fun as I have been having on this Halloween show, we are fresh out of time. So I have been your host, Erika Dierke.
Max Tertus.
I'm Mariah Evans.
And I'm Henry Stewart, a.k.a. Lane Kiffin.
AKA Lane Kiffin. Age like milk, bro.
You could wear Pete Golding, the little fuzzy hat.
That'll be fire.
We can do something with that. That'd be cool.
No, that's the goal.
Dude, and we'll see you guys next year. We're out of time. I want to say super quick that it's been an honor to host Rebel Watch. I am happy to say that I will be reprising my role as host and producer next year. I want to shout out Sky and Alexia and everyone who stays late to run the behind the scenes. I want to shout out Abby Warner. She's been a huge help this year. I think that every episode, it's barely different, but if you look back at episode 1, it's completely unrecognizable. It got a new logo, better graphics, our social media has grown. Like, I'm really proud of what we all have done here. Thank you guys so much for being here and for what we've done, and I'm excited to run it back next year. For the last time, I am your host, Erika Dierke.
I'm Henry Stewart.
I'm Mariah Evans.
And I'm Paxton DeBardeleben.
Hotty toddy.
You go Rebs.
This is from Ross. This is from TJ Maxx. And these are Adidas.
Marshalls, Depop. Okay, do a fit check.
Oh, you got the Brooks Brothers tie, Brooks Brothers suit.
Do a fit check.
I don't know where this is from.
JC. Welcome to me and Henry's, what's it called? Bowberry cookie vlog. It's warm. It looks delicious.
This looks smacking.
Cheers.
Cheers.
10 out of 10. Common Bojangles W.
Extremely common Bojangles W. This W was brought to you by the 704.
Thank you for watching.